Hi and welcome to Leitrim Daily. My name is Breffney Early and you're listening to the Sports Roundup show a little bit later than normal in the week. Today's show is brought to you in association with Pete's Sandwich Bar in Carrick-on-Shannon. More on them later in the programme. We do have a lot of coverage and a lot of sport to get through after what was a reasonably busy weekend. We're a little bit lighter than normal on interviews this week, but we will go through all the news from across the various sections of Leitrim sport, and we will be hearing from Terry Hyland, Cillian McGloin and Paddy Maguire after Leitrim's disappointing result in Longford on Sunday afternoon. Let's start right there in Pearse Park. Expectations high after two promising performances in the first two rounds of the league, and on day 3 we faced the short journey to Longford to face a local rival. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be Leitrim's day, beaten in the end 2-14 to 1-9, although it was a late goal that put a gloss on that for the home side. Leitrim battled hard in places, but maybe shot selection and a couple of decisions in terms of shooting and a fairly high wide count, 12 versus Longford's 3, one of them in the last kick of the game almost, really was the deciding factor on the day. Let's hear from Terry, Cillian and Paddy. We'll start with Terry and hear what he had to say immediately after the game. It's part of a group interview, both myself and John Connolly from the Leitrim Observer chatting to Terry at the same time, so you'll hear questions from both of us. Here's what Terry had to say immediately after the game.
We started well. We were probably 4 or 5 wides at the first 10 or 12 minutes of the second half, and I think then we got shot shy after that. Yeah. And I think that we went back into a bit of a shell. And okay, I know the goal at the end just turned the thing over and put a bit maybe more flat on line on the score line from that point of view. But I think that we had opportunity. We had probably where we wanted to be at half time. And we did create the opportunities in that first 10 minutes, and we didn't just pot them over. And we needed to get a score or two, and we didn't. And we went to shot shy, and they hit us big on the counter, and we had pushed up, and that was the problem we had.
I think you could see a couple of years of playing Division 3, Division 2 football in Longford, and that in their know-how of how they protected the ball and played the ball down and created chances there and dragged and pulled us across the field.
Yeah, and I suppose there was times we were probably the opposite of that. We gave the ball away, we kicked it when we didn't need to kick it, you know what I mean? We got maybe some passes like intercepted when we didn't need to rush the thing, and look, that's a learning process, and unfortunately, and we said this a dozen times before, you're getting away with that in Division 4, but as you step up you don't, and it's more about the top process than the movement of the body. You've got to think quicker when you're playing in the higher divisions, and that's just it.
I suppose that's experience. I mean, I was going to ask you about the getting shot shy. What do you think that's down to? Is it thought process? Is it confidence?
Well, look, again, it's a case of, maybe it's a case of, well, I'm after missing the last one, I'm not going to take the next shot, and then you give it on to somebody else, and it's always about backing yourself, and it's something that we would always tell them. Like, I mean, I always say, I don't care if it's the corner back that's up in front of the goals, and the opportunity is, you go for it, you have to back yourself, and, maybe that's a learning process for them.
You say shot shy, but the wide count was significant. Leitrim in double figures. Longford only hit their third in injury time in the second half.
Yeah, well, I suppose you can go back to the opposite of that. We had the 4 or 5 wides, and they had 4 attacks after that, and that 4 scores. So it's a bit conversion rate, and we did, perhaps there was an element of we're going to be playing with a bit of a breeze, and the breeze is going to do the job for us, and we didn't penetrate, and we weren't maybe as patient as we should have been. But I suppose we had the ball, and maybe that's half the battle, and we have to learn now to work better with it.
I suppose there's a lot of pressure coming on into this game. It's a derby. I know we're all talking about how important it was, and these are the things we're looking to attack. Do you think that played a part? You'd hope not, I suppose.
You'd hope not. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a silly game of football, and sometimes, okay, we look at the jerseys and that stores maybe a different passion in people or whatever it is, but you have to go out and do your job out on the football pitch, and where we did a lot of good things. Just, I think, as you said, our finishing was our problem. We created the opportunities. I think we even had maybe another goal opportunity in the first half, and maybe 2 half chances that that you have to put away at this level.
I suppose looking ahead now, you got a bit of a break for 2 weeks before the Offaly game. It's been a hard 3 weeks because the games are coming so thick and fast in tough conditions.
Yeah,
every day to regroup maybe.
Yeah, well, every day we've gone out, there's been a gale, but that's the same for everybody. But look, it gives us a chance to get Mark Plunkett back. It gives us a chance to get Ryan to get up to speed. It gives a chance for Ray Mulvey to get up to speed. We were probably, one number 3 or 4 injuries with lads only just clawing their way back into the system, and they weren't really getting any game time on them. I mean, like Ray Mulvey probably 2 weeks ago hadn't touched the ball. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ryan up until 10 days ago hadn't touched the ball. Mark Plunkett and these lads. Whereas you can get them back fitness wise, they still have to be up to speed with the ball. You know what I mean? And these 2 weeks at least will give us that.
What are the positives you'll take out of today's game?
Well, again, before half time, when we needed to get the score to get back in the game, we got it. We did, as I said, we did create options, and okay, unfortunately, we didn't take them. If the ball wasn't getting to that end of the pitch, I probably would be more worried.
I suppose that's it. It's about conversion, and the next day, Offaly again, it's another team that we'd be looking. They drew against Longford. Their game today was called off. They'll probably be playing next week, so you'll be hoping to kind of take advantage, maybe that their legs will be maybe getting a bit heavier.
Well, look, in the end of the day, as those games is games. I mean, sometimes what happens, what this does is it means you can get a block of training in, because when you're at game scenario, you train on a Wednesday night, you really have to step it back down on a Friday game, because on a Friday session, because you're playing on Sunday. So it just gives an opportunity to get a little bit more into the legs on them, but also to maybe get a little bit more of that practice of shooting and finishing, and but we'll work on that.
How important was it to get the likes of Ryan on the pitch today and Ray Mulvey more minutes in the legs?
Well, that was it. Even Damien Moore, and we got lads back on the pitch to get more legs in them. We have a lot of good young fellas coming on, but to be fair, we can't depend on the young lads to pull the game around. There's games when you're going to need experience, and they're the experienced heads, and we need to get them back out.
Cillian McGloin, thoughts after that?
Well, look, obviously it's disappointing now just not to get the result today, but like these come around, so you kind of have to just deal with it and move on.
Two opening day performances in terms of the Derry game, the Cork game, reasonably well. Today it didn't really happen for Leitrim.
No, it's hard, well, like we had to win in the second half. We played reasonably well in patches in the first half, and you had to win in the second half, and I don't know, made a few mistakes at the start, which kind of our heads were down after that for a bit. So, and it's hard to chase a game, when the team's 3 or 4 points up, so.
Goal just before half time really set us up. It broke that trend of struggling in the last 5 minutes of the first half, but the second half, Longford just seemed to have that little bit more composure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we were the fact we were just chasing the game. I think is the main thing, and I think we play much better when we're ahead rather than chase the game, because it's kind of the way we play. We kind of like to hold the ball and play about and work to score, but yeah, they were just more composed in the second half, and the finishing, they were more clinical in front of goal. I don't know what we missed, but we missed more than them anyways.
In terms of personal performance, took a yellow card, maybe could have been lucky maybe not to avoid another one?
Look, to be honest, he was at me as much as I was at him, so I'm not going to comment too much on that.
What's your thoughts going into 2 weeks off before the next game, or at least a week off before the next game? What's thoughts going into that next fixture?
So look, we just have to put the head down now. We have training again a few times this week, and a few more collective sessions together, and we'll just put the head down and push forward and try and get a result now in the next 2 weeks.
Well, listen, thanks for talking to me.
No bother.
Paddy, your thoughts after that game?
Yeah, we're all disappointed. Thought we were in a good shout there. We worked hard in the first half against the Breeze, and only 2 points in at half time, but came out Longford were cute. They tipped over 1 or 2 more scores and made it 4 and 5 ahead. And then we came back, got them back to 3 or 4, but they kept knocking away. We never got ahead of them, so that was the important thing. They kept taking away, they kept possession of the ball. We kind of tried to kick it in rather than working it through the hands, and they were I think they were smarter with possession of the ball. They ticked over their scores and always kept ahead of us, and they closed out the game comfortably enough, which was a bit disappointing, because we thought coming in at half time, thought we were in a good place, and kind of in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the second half we didn't really show up.
You put in a bit of a claim to starting goals next week. There was some save early in the second half. Did you know much about it?
Okay. We had a came at full driving force at me. No, I knew Jeremy was gone out to your man, so lucky enough your man drove it straight at my chest and it rebound off. But look, I thought it'll take a lot more to win the game than just a save on the line. But it's disappointing now, and look, we have to regroup. With 2 weeks now to regroup and back training Wednesday night. 4 games left. It's not over yet, and we're sitting on a point, but we need to get a win or two now in the next few games.
In terms of the league so far, what's your view been on the 3 games collectively now, looking back at the first kind of group of games in this division?
Yeah, I suppose in Derry we should have probably taken 2 points there. We just didn't close out the game. The point, we had to settle for the point, and then the Cork game was a big step up. I think we underperformed too. I think the scoreline there was hard enough reflection. I thought we took our goal chances there at the start. It might have been a little bit closer, but look, we learn from these games. I know it's disappointing, the margin 7-8 points defeat, and we just have to get together, regroup again, and go at it again in a week or two. 2 weeks now. It's a home game to Offaly, so.
In terms of the step up from Division 4 to Division 3, how big is that gap?
It's not that. I suppose this year it's a tough Division 3, with you have Cork down and Derry all in it, but there is a difference there with, smarter on the ball, keeping possession. There is, you won't have as much time on the ball as a Division 4 team. You have to be, your decision making has to be a lot quicker. You have to be a lot tighter on your men. You're turned over. The pace of the game is a lot more different than Division 4, to be honest.
In terms of looking forward to the championship, I know it's very early in the season we talk about championship, but will that experience at Division 3 come to benefit the team when it gets later into the better days of the season?
Yeah, it definitely should. It depends what learning lessons we take out of it, I suppose. It's a young enough team we have here, but we have to get a few wins under our belt, and what we learn from it from Division 3 is the most important, and then bringing it into championship come May and that. But it is definitely, it will be definitely a lot more. It'll get you a lot more confidence going into the Mayo game or whatever. But it'll strengthen us for bigger teams in the future.
What are the positives you're taking out of today's game?
Yeah, look, I'll have to reflect on it. We'll all have to reflect on our own division, our own individual performances. I suppose positive was that I think we got a goal and a few scores there. We worked it into the boys inside a lot better. Defensively, I thought we were opened up a few times again. The lads came down, run through the middle again. But we never gave up, and we tipped over a few scores. But positively, I suppose a few lads came on there and showed on the bench there, came off and worked hard. So a few positives to take out of it. We'll have to reflect again to really break it down to see what positives were taken out of today. First half, I thought we worked really hard against the win. It's another positive, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, listen, well done today. Hard luck on the results, and thanks for chatting to me.
Thank you. See you.
Now, I mentioned at the top of the programme that today's show is brought to you in association with Pete's Sandwich Bar in Carrick-on-Shannon. It's located across from the library, right beside the fire station, with plenty of parking around that vicinity in town. You can eat out, you can take away, you can have a choice of sandwiches, wraps, soups, salad, and their lunch specials are particularly interesting. Trust me, check them out on social media. Their absolutely mouth-watering photographs of their food is phenomenal. I particularly enjoy getting their little notifications for what is on their lunch specials each and every day. Today, for example, beef stroganoff, chicken fajita, and much, much more in terms of wraps and sandwiches. Check them out. Well worth looking into. We're guaranteed to keep you nourished if you are feeling a little bit peckish coming up to lunchtime. Thank you very much for your continued support, Pete's, and to everybody else who has supported the show throughout. If you'd like to be a partner with us, check us out on leitrimdaily.com or send us an email at info@leitrimdaily.com or hit us up on our social media. All across the board is just at Leitrim Daily. Thank you so much to Pete's Sandwich Bar for their continued support. Now, of course, the girls were in action as well on Sunday afternoon, same time, and they took to the field in Ballinamore to face an Antrim side at 7-10 to 2 points. The winning margin for Leitrim, and a fairly comfortable victory in the end. Some very impressive performances from around the pitch. Leah Fox, 4 goals, probably proven to be one of the big talking points of the day. She came off after 42 minutes, so that was just in 42 minutes of play. Fantastic performance from Leah in what is her first season of intercounty football. Been a promising youngster coming through the ranks. We've had her on the show before in her guise as a Sligo Rovers player last year. She's overage for that now, so she's still a minor footballer and really making waves on the intercounty scene. Other girls who got on the score sheet, Myrne Devaney, another colleague of Leah's, who actually replaced her in that 42-minute substitution on Sunday afternoon. She came up with 1-1. Michelle Guckian with 1-4. Vivian Egan with a goal. Eilish O'Dowd, Laura O'Dowd, Charlene Tyrrell and Alva Clancy all getting themselves on the score sheet, a solitary point apiece. So a good day out for Leitrim. Probably less competitive than they would have hoped for in terms of really being prepared for a championship assault later in the season. But that's 2 heavy victories against 2 northern sides over the last 2 weeks. They get a break now. They have a week off before their next game in 2 weeks' time. So it'll be interesting to see how they regroup. nice to see a lot of youngsters coming through. 7 subs used, so 22 players. I think 25 played the week before. So lots of girls getting moments in their legs. We'll be previewing their next game next week on the show. But well done to Leitrim ladies there. 7-10 to 2 points victory in that second round Division 4 Ladies National Football League. They look to be really, really on top form for that competition going ahead this season. And it's hard to see past Leitrim for one of the big title challengers in that competition. In terms of soccer in the National League, there was a complete whitewash of local games here. All the games just called off because of the weather, which was absolutely torrential. So despite the storm, some games did go ahead, and they were mainly at the National League level. Sligo Rovers winning 2-1 against Cabinteely in a game played behind closed doors over the weekend, Friday night, in Abbottstown in the National Sports Campus up in Dublin. Rovers winning 2-1. They'll be happy enough going into their first game of the season on Friday night. We'll be previewing that game on the Friday's sports show. But 2-1 victory against Cabinteely. They face Finn Harps, where their previous captain Raf Kataro will be coming back as the he was the captain last year with Finn Harps. Don't know if he's going to be the captain again this year, but he will be in that squad. He signed during the week, so interesting times ahead for both those clubs as they battle to stay in the Premier Division of the SSE Airtricity League this season. It's going to be a big ask for both clubs. With a lot of other teams strengthening around them, it's hard to see Sligo and Finn Harps been in anything other than a relegation battle this year. The very best of luck to both teams as they try to maintain their senior status, their Division 1, Premier Division status, should I say, for the next season or so. They face each other in Finn Park, 8 p.m. kickoff on Friday night. It's the first round of the SSE Airtricity League, and they'll be looking to make it a happy Valentine's night for one set of supporters on the night. Longford have had a mixed bag over the last couple of weeks in terms of pre-season games. Still no certainty as to when their season starts. It's all a bit of a mess with the FAI at the moment in terms of the first division of the SSE Airtricity League. 2 sets of fixtures out. It's believed that Limerick will not be in the league this year. That is the latest rumour. It may be actually confirmed by the time you're listening to this, but it looks like it will be a 10-team league with Shamrock Rovers B team included in that. If that goes ahead, Longford will host Shamrock Rovers on Saturday week, should I say. The chances are, though, that there is still a protest with the other 9 clubs about the inclusion of Shamrock Rovers. If that doesn't materialise and if Shamrock Rovers do take part in the league, that will be the opening fixture. Otherwise, it's anybody's guess as to when Longford's first game will take place. We know we had Dara Doyle on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he spoke about the mess that's going on at the moment. As I said, no local action at all at junior level in the county. There's loads of action this weekend, though, with the weather improving. It promises to be a good weekend's action. We'll be talking about that on Friday on the show. Now, in terms of swimming, we had some great results with Trident Swim Club here in Carrick-on-Shannon, as they took part in the national finals of the minor schools at the National Aquatic Centre, also in Abbottstown. Maya Mulvey coming in with 2 silvers there, while there were PBs for Alicia Degnan, Emily Quinn and Maya Mulvey herself in those particular events. So congratulations to all at Trident. I know it's a busy club and they kind of go about their business under the radar, so the very best of luck to them as they progress through what promises to be a very exciting and busy season for Trident. In terms of athletics, Teresa Doherty took home the Athletics Ireland Masters Women's Cross Country title in a fantastic time of 15:21. She is, of course, from Kinlaw, but also competing in the colours of Finn Valley up there in Ballybuffet in Donegal. So she was 24 seconds ahead of her nearest challenger for that fantastic result for the North Leitrim woman. Congratulations. Michelle Lannon of Carrick Athletic Club came in a very respectable 41st position, 5th in her over 45 category in a time of 17:21. Some great Leitrim performances there. In the juvenile ranks, we talked a lot about Sarah Mulvaney Kelly on last month while she was nominated for our Sports Person of the Year and eventually won the competition. She came in 5th in the under 11B juvenile competition, while Scott Williams was 6th in the male equivalent, the under 11 boys in the B National Championships. So congratulations to them both, as well as their teammates who were all competing in the competition. In terms of handball, we had one result from last weekend, Saturday evening. So Martin Raftery of Drumshanbo Handball Club take to the Connacht Junior A Championship quarter-final, where he unfortunately was beaten by Seamus Keneally of Galway. So And that, folks, is all we have time for today. A massive thank you to Pete's Sandwich Bar in Carrick and Shannon for their sponsorship of today's show. It's greatly appreciated, and can't recommend them highly enough if you're looking for something to eat during the middle of the day. Great spot for lunch, and thank you very much for your continued support of the show. If you would like to nominate someone for our sports awards, you can do so via our website, leitrimdaily.com/nominate, and just fill in the form and tell us why your candidate or why your nomination deserves to be considered for inclusion or to even win the award for the month of February. Some great performances already. It's not even halfway through the month yet. So keep that in mind. Let's hear from you in terms of who you would like to see win that competition for the month of February. Also, if you'd like to sponsor one of our shows, we would love to hear from you. Our email address is info@leitrimdaily.com. We would love to have you as part of our team and to bring all these kind of news stories to the general Leitrim public. We'd love to hear from you. Give me a shout on info@leitrimdaily.com or hit us up on social media @leitrimdaily across all platforms. That is it from us today. Thank you very much. I'll be back tomorrow with the What's On guide for County Leitrim for the next 7 days, and also from a sports point of view, I'll be back on Friday with a look at what's happening over a very busy weekend as the SSE Electricity League steps back into the fold. We'll also be talking to the hurlers ahead of their return to league action. Talk to you then.